Call the regular city council meeting Monday, July 15th, 2013 to order. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Alderman Putoff.
Here.
Ferrari.
Here.
Waldorf. Here. Lukosius.
Here.
Perez.
Here.
Radke.
Here.
Mueller.
Here.
Sapienza.
Here.
Mayor Harrell.
Here. Pledge of allegiance. Okay, no presentations, Clerk Bartley?
No, Your Honor.
Any public comment cards?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm going to switch this up a little bit. I'm going to go straight to new business. And we have a motion, asking for a motion to hire Tim McInerney as government relations lobbyist for the city for a one-year period for $24,000. So do we have a motion for that?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
I have a motion by Alderman Lukosius, second by Alderman Waldorf, to hire Tim McInerney as a government relations lobbyist for the city for a one-year period for $24,000. Is there any discussion?
I think, Your Honor, might want to, from a city standpoint, kind of expand where the lobbyist idea is looking at it. I believe we're looking at, from a city standpoint, the discretionary funds available from both the federal and also state dollars. I think what the city's looking for is those infrastructure improvements that might be able to benefit from discretionary funds that we may not have received in the past. And we certainly have a lot of needs in our city, everything from waterfront improvements to economic opportunities to, basically public safety, roadways, and things of that nature. I think it's worthwhile, particularly if you give the lobbyists some goals and also measure those after a period of time. And I know it's a new idea, but I'm willing to go along with it as a result if the city does put some goals together and we do measure those goals after a one-year period to see if it's actually working out. It's very competitive. A lot of other cities are doing everything they can for those discretionary dollars, and every little bit helps. The investment of $2,000 a month for the city, at least it's my hope that we recoup that in a timely fashion.
Anybody else have anything?
Your Honor, I would just say that I like the idea of somebody in Springfield or Washington, for that matter, representing the city of Peru with our interests at the forefront, and hopefully it helps with economic development and bringing jobs to the city.
Your Honor, you also see, we've read the resumes, many of us have, and the individual has a successful track record. He has worked with cities. He has benefited from the information we've received. Many cities have benefited from the small investment that they make.
I agree. As I said on the floor last week, I know the importance of contacts. You've made many, many contacts in the last 4 years, but there's many more to make, and one person can't be everywhere. And Mr. McInerney's been in the business quite a while. He has many contacts, and it's much easier to pick up the phone or write an email to somebody that knows you and you know them, and they will read it. If you just send it cold, 99% of the time they're just going to throw it away. So the contacts are very important, and that's why I'm looking at it, because Route 6 wouldn't have been done if we wouldn't have made the proper contacts at the proper time. We were lucky on that one. The chance of that happening again is very slim. But if we didn't make the right contacts, it wouldn't be done. So, anybody else?
Well, I think you've hit it right on the head. A lot of people want to work through email, they want to work through phone, and it's great in this day and age as you can do that because you can do things very quickly, but you can never do things as effectively as being in the same room with someone, shaking their hand, asking them for things, figuring out where to go on a project. And so I think you're right with that comment.
And I guess from a city standpoint, you're set up a list of priorities. The lobbyists will work to meet those priorities. They'll work to make a checklist of the needs that the city has. And we can measure those goals by the successful record after a period of time.
I'll do some. Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Alderman Perez, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want, if everybody's done with what they had to say, one of the things I would ask that you address the council with, Mayor, is I know that you were out today with Mr. McInerney of what was looked at today and your thoughts on that. If you could maybe address the public with, what he saw today going out through the city.
Well, we started at the river and we worked to 31st Street. We looked at the industry. We looked at the retail. We went from the west side of Peru to the east side of Peru and showed him everything that we've been looking at, what we've been working on, what we have in the hopper. And, you can't do it all, but he's very well aware of many of the things that we have going. He knows our priorities from what we showed him today, but it's not our actual list of priorities on what we'd rather see, on the top of the list. And once again, one person doesn't know everyone, but they know more than what anyone up here knows. We all know someone, but you need to know the right person. You need to be in the right place, the right time. It's what it is. So, but I will entertain a few questions from the audience, very few, if they want to ask Mr. McInerney, because this is something new. So if you want to at this time, you could ask him and
I'd still like to
see what he has to say.
if I could, before the public address. Is it okay if I
Yeah, go ahead.
through? First and foremost, last week I had met with Mayor Harrell and gave him my thoughts and my opinions on hiring a lobbyist. And there are probably just as many lobbyists through the state of Illinois as there are attorneys and car salesmen, put together. There are thousands and thousands of lobbyists. And there's no doubt that I feel that he probably came very highly recommended. And it just seems as though if the city is going to look into bringing in a lobbyist and putting one on our books, that they would look at more than one, which, like I said, there's no doubt that I'm sure he did come highly recommended, but it seems like the city should do a little bit more research before hiring someone. State lawmakers, I know there was a couple things mentioned about having representation in the city of Peru, represent our interests in the General Assembly. And there's no doubt that the lobbyist's job is to influence lawmakers. And I feel that our local lawmakers, Mr. Martino and Rezin, do a fine job, along with Mayor Harrell, how he had went out last year and he lobbied for Route 6. There was a lot of work being done there, and we didn't need any outside source to get that going. He took the ball and ran with it and had contacts down in Peoria and other officials, and that was a project that was a great success. I feel like our biggest lobbyists are our own, whether it be the City Council, IVAC, the IML for one, and there are a lot of representation that we have to be able to represent the city of Peru when things come up. And I understand that, Mayor Harrell can't be running down to Springfield every time something comes up, but I feel that's our state representatives and Senator Rezin's position to do that at this current time. Lastly, I'm also against spending taxpayer dollars to go out and reach other tax dollars. It seems to make sense in a way, but with the state of, the way the state of our financial situation in Illinois is just, we're broken. And it just doesn't seem right to go out and spend taxpayer dollars to, fetch other tax dollars. So that's my thought, my opinion on it, and I will be voting no for a lobbyist at this time.
Okay, like I said, I'll open it up to the public for a few short minutes here. If anybody has any questions they want to share, you need to come up here though, please.
How many other towns do you represent? And do you represent any towns that are as small as ours?
Tim, you want to come up here because it's recorded, and then you'll be on the recording. Did you have another one, Sherry, or was that all?
My name's Tim McInerney, by the way. It's a pleasure to be here. And I did get to see your town with Mayor Harrell. It's very impressive, your manufacturing base. I was surprised, quite frankly. And the retail, we were talking earlier, and would we identify? Long John Silver's is not here, so my first job would be to try and get Long John. It's the only franchise I think you're missing.
We have Rips Chicken, though.
Oh, okay. All right, so we're there. I represent the city of Chatham, Illinois, which is outside of Springfield, and it's comparable in population to Peru. It doesn't have, it's more of a residential community. Their needs are totally different. It's right outside the city of Springfield, and it's mostly just residential. So their needs are different than what you're doing. And I also represent the city of Peoria, which of course is larger, and they have certain needs too. In the past, I've represented the city of Springfield. I've represented Rantoul when they had special projects they needed. State of Illinois hired me a number of years ago for the base closure. I represent the state of Illinois for the Rock Island Arsenal and the Peoria area for their National Guard and the Springfield National Guard. State of Missouri had also hired me for the base type closure, working with local communities. So I have been involved in that process, working both in Springfield and Washington, D.C., where my contacts also are quite extensive, quite frankly. So those are kind of the areas I do, and that's just the 3 cities currently is all I represent.
Then you represented McCormick Place on both sides of the aisle.
I represented McCormick Place, the unions in McCormick Place, when they were, and we put together the compromise to actually keep the jobs union, but some major concessions, which have gone a long way towards increasing the trade shows there. And I worked with Mayor Daley's labor relations guy. We put that deal together. That was a number of years ago. So worked with the Joliet Arsenal Development Authority in bringing in that. If you're familiar with the intermodal facility up there in Wilmington outside of Joliet, I worked with them to put that program together. So, been involved in a lot of the municipal state. My office is in Springfield. I'm right next to the Capitol. My office is. So I know not only the legislators and the state directors, but I also know a lot of the bureaucrats, the people that do the actual work. And I see them every day of the week, be it in a restaurant or on a golf course or at schools. These are people I've interacted with all my life. So those are some of the contacts I have, and trying to represent what this board determines is important to the city of Peru. That's what I'll try and articulate in Springfield on your behalf.
Anybody from the audience have any other questions? Mike, could come on up, please.
With Mr. Vickery being the economic development person in the city now, how will this marry in with this individual, the lobbyist? Or will you even need that position since he's going to be doing economic development?
Well, we can look at it. As everyone knows, that's a volunteer position. The amount of money that's spent for a phone bill and a few miles of mileage is, I don't know, probably in the $1,000, $1,200 range. We can look at it, but I don't really see the immediate need for it.
And I see almost 2 different factions of economic development and the role of lobbyists. You see the lobbyist as a role of looking at the state, federal discretionary funds to place it towards infrastructure improvements that may help not only Peru but the entire area, where the economic development director would be focused on a business or a manufacturing within the city of Peru, looking to promote that aspect of the viability of somebody coming in from the outside or expanding the business internally. So I see it as almost 2 different functions that certainly can interact with each other, but I don't see Mr. Vickery or the position of Economic Development Director as the same position as the lobbyist is performing. I mean, that's at least the way I perceive it to be.
Mr. McInerney, lobbying can be a long-term and a very slow payout endeavor for us, or for any municipality, really. And the city of Peru is looking for a 1-year contract to start with you. I would, with the little bit of research that I've been doing, it seems like the minimum amount of time a municipality will contract with the lobbyist is 3 years. That's the majority. So it seems as though 1 year would really be unrealistic, and we would be looking at a contract probably for 2 to 3 years out. Once you get the ball rolling on something, it's going to be almost
It takes a while to
impossible.
get into the whole process, and we were talking earlier with the contract city engineer on the Tiger grants that are in. So yeah, a lot of it is a ramp up, and we talked about the Armory as an example earlier in discussions with some of them that there might be some possibilities of starting to do some things now before the next base closure, and what we could possibly offer the government as an alternative. Yes, it does generally take more than a year to get things done. Hopefully you'll see some progress made, if not some actual hard dollars. At least know that your interests have been represented, and I have no problem coming back at the end of the year. You think I'm worth it, you'll pay me. If you don't, then we'll shake hands, have a beer, and call it a day.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Lukosha, second by Alderman Waldorf, to hire Tim McInerney as a government relations lobbyist for the city for a one-year period for $24,000. If there's no further discussion, we'll have a roll call vote. Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Perez.
Nay.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Motion approved. Thank you, Tim. I know you have a long ride and you can go on the road. Thank you. We'll be talking to you. Thanks for coming up.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll finish the rest of the new business, then we'll go ahead and go into the... Okay, do we have a motion for the appointment of Sean Mikos as Public Works Superintendent, City Engineer with an annual salary of $87,000 to replace retiring Superintendent of Public Works, Gary Black?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
Have a motion by Alderman Waldorf, second by Alderman Lukosius for the appointment of Sean Mikos. Is there any discussion on this?
Yes, Your Honor. Could we have the committee just address the public of the process that took place with hiring an engineer? It's a new position for the city, an engineer, Public Works, and the job description. If we could let give the public an idea of what the job description of our new hire will be, I think would be beneficial.
Well, the job description involves being the superintendent of Public Works, plus some of the inside small engineering jobs that go along with Public Works projects. The process involved, I believe, 9 applications, and it was pared down to 3. They did phone interviews, and then it was pared down to 3, and did first interviews, and pared it down to 2. And then the committee was included in those interviews, and there were discussions, and it came down to 2 very good candidates, one with a PE and one without. And there was some talk for just a little while of hiring them both. They were both very good candidates. It was very hard to choose. In the end, we had advertised for a PE, and we went with Sean Mikos as a candidate. He interviewed well, as they both did. He had a lot of comments and a lot of thoughts about what it takes to be a small office engineer. Was very much aware of street projects and water main projects and sewer projects, for that matter. Do we think that he can engineer by himself a project like areas 4 and 6? No, that would be much bigger than the scope of what we can do in a small one-man office, and he understood that. But we're looking at things like your water main loop, right. Getting him into to do the basic engineering for that. Smaller projects that we can save some money on engineering and have it work in our favor, so he'll serve 2 purposes. And we thought he was the best candidate.
Very good, thank you.
Is there any other questions on the Public Works Superintendent? Okay, then we'll have a roll call vote. Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Motion approved. He will be on board roughly August 5th for a month or so overlap with Public Works Gary Black. Monday, August 5th is when he's scheduled to be here. Okay, we'll move on. Motion to authorize Corporate Counsel Doug Swigert to file a lawsuit against A Unified LLC concerning demolition of the powerhouse.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
And a motion by Alderman Lukosius, second by Alderman Waldorf, to authorize Corporate Counsel Doug Swigert to file suit against A Unified LLC concerning demolition of the powerhouse. Is there any discussion?
Corporate Counsel, could you explain the process of the lawsuit and why we have to go through with the lawsuit?
That's if you want to get a deed to the property. The original contract had an option to repurchase, if you will, for $100. the city had exercised that option, never heard anything. So that would be the basis for the suit. I mean, you know, you can't get blood out of a turnip, so contract's really only as good as the parties that contract, so there will not be any financial recovery. But if you want to get title back to the property, subject, of course, to all the mechanics liens that are filed against that, including the one that the city will be filing for completion of the job, but at least in my opinion, it would not be economically feasible for anyone to foreclose on a mechanics lien, because then they'd all be prorated and the underlying property is otherwise within a floodplain. So its highest and best use, frankly, is the way it sits now, eventually as a public park. The mechanics liens that are in there have to be foreclosed within 2 years. I mean, you wouldn't be spending any money or doing anything on the property, because someone could foreclose on the mechanics lien, but it would not be economically feasible for anybody to do that. And then, you know, the largest one you have out there now is the demolition contractor that was hired and for the asbestos abatement, you know, that everything went over budget there. So the sole and only purpose of filing that suit would be to obtain a judicial deed, hopefully eventually, for the property. And that is the same way the property at the northeast corner was acquired. That was originally the National Sheet Metal property. It was environmentally contaminated, and at that time, thanks largely to the efforts of Senator Pat Welch, we had the state complete the Phase 1 and Phase 2 on that property, and then the Federal Environmental Protection Agency completed the remediation of that property, the old NSM site. But in order for the city to acquire title then on the demolition, then Judge Carter, who's now an appellate judge, had issued a judicial deed for the property. So that's the best you can hope for in this suit, is to get a judicial deed for the property if you want to acquire title back.
You're not talking about a costly process for the city, are you?
No, because I really don't see them coming in and defending. If they do, we have a lot of other issues to address with them, but I really don't foresee that. And we're going to take subject to all the liens, you know, so the one and only party that you're going to sue here is a Unified, that I suspect would be a default. You'd have her approve up of the contract and ask the judge to issue a judicial deed for the property, if you want to get it back in the city's name. As you know, we originally conveyed it to a Unified that had the initial contract, because we were worried about potential liability issues in the demolition, and you know, that's why you have no responsibility for any of the mechanics liens or anything else that's on there. And if anybody wants to go ahead and foreclose, go ahead, you know, including us. But I can't. It costs a lot of money to foreclose any mechanics lien on the property. I mean, just the filing and the service of summons of the necessary parties, much less going through that, it becomes an expensive proposition.
When this all started, we did get a sign that we would be able to buy it back for $100 or whatever the agreement was. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have a motion by Alderman Lukosha, second by Alderman Waldorf. If there's no further discussion, we'll have a roll call vote. Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Motion approved. Okay, we'll go back to page 1. Do we have a motion to receive the regular meeting minutes of July 10th, 2013 and place on file?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Have a motion by Alderman Putoff, second by Alderman Radke, to receive the regular meeting minutes of July 10th, 2013, and place on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. We have a motion to receive the building permits report for second quarter 2013 and place on file.
So moved, Your Honor.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion by Alderman Ferrari, second by Alderman Waldorf, to receive the building permits report for the second quarter 2013 and place on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we'll turn it over to committee reports. Council and Finance, Alderman Putoff, Alderman Radke.
Yes, Your Honor and Council, we have total disbursements for July 17th of the year 2013. The disbursements total $821,285.65. I'll make a motion that this be received, placed on file. The bills paid in the usual manner.
Second.
I have a motion by Alderman Putoff, second by Alderman Radke, to receive the disbursements for July 17th, 2013, placed on file, and the bills paid in the usual manner. Is there any discussion?
I just have a question, Your Honor. There was $220 for contracting for landscaping at the airport, and I know that we've had volunteers up there, and I was just wondering what that was for, if anybody, I don't know.
Was that the testing of the trees, Gary?
Testing of the trees or the tree that died.
Okay. I just saw that and I didn't know what that was for. Thank you.
Also, I'll make mention that we have not voted on that, but as part of your disbursements, the renewal with IVAC is on this sheet for disbursements. So we will make the disbursements I guess you make a motion that...
Well, okay. We'll go down to motion to renew membership with IVAC because it's in the disbursement. So do we have a motion to renew my membership with IVAC for $14,413?
Yes, Your Honor. I'll make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Alderman Putoff, second by Alderman Radke, to renew membership with Illinois Valley Chamber of Commerce for $14,413. Is there any discussion on that?
Your Honor, I just want to say we did have a lot of discussion in the finance meeting about the IVAC renewal, and basically we came to a consensus that it's a part of our economic development engine of Peru. It's not, we don't totally rely on IVAC for every aspect of economic development, but it's an important piece for our community, and certainly Peru benefits from being a member. So that's where we came up with to validate that IVAC membership.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, we'll have a roll call vote. Clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Motion approved. Then we'll go back to the disbursements to motion made by Alderman Putoff, second by Alderman Radke, to receive the disbursements for July 17th, 2013, placed on file, and pay the bills in the usual manner. Is there any further discussion on that? Have a roll call vote. Clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff. Aye. Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Anything else, Alderman Radke, that we had?
No, we'll have some ordinances later, I think, in the meeting that deal with some of the financials, the enterprise funds that we've been working on. But we'll deal with that when council presents it.
Okay, we'll move to Public Works. Alderman Waldorf, Alderman Lukosius.
No electric report at this time, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I have the City of Peru Water and Wastewater Treatment Plants report for May 2013. At our water treatment plant, we produced a little over 84 million gallons. At our wastewater treatment plants, the East plant, we treated a little over 93 million gallons. And at the West plant, we treated almost 40 million gallons. I'd like to make a motion that we receive this report and place it on file, please.
Second, Your Honor.
I have a motion by Alderman Waldorf, second by Alderman Lukosius, to receive the water wastewater report for May 2013, placed on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Next, Your Honor, we received and opened, let's see here, am I confused? We received 3 bids for the Brewster Street reconstruction. There's been some ongoing drainage problems down there, and there's been kind of a safety issue where the pavement is eroding away. The low bid was Pohar and Sons at $27,138. I'll refer this back to Public Works Committee, and would like to have that on the agenda for a vote next Monday, please.
Okay, these were not bids, they were proposals, but we have the proposals in front of us. So it's going to be on the agenda next
Yes, sir.
Monday, the 29th?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And we will have a Public Works meeting at 10 o'clock the morning of the 29th, Monday the 29th. Next, there was a bid opening, and these are bids. For the pavement preservation program, there were 3 bids. Actually, there's an engineer's estimate and 2 bids. And the low bid was AC Paving, Pavement Striping Company in Elgin, Illinois, for $141,274.99. This does go through the city, 6 different locations with a lot of work being done to preserve those roads. Hopefully, we get 5 to 7 years more out of these roads. And I'll refer this back to the committee, and would like to have that on the agenda for next Monday night also, please. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Public Health and Safety, Alderman Ferrari, Alderman Sapienza.
Your Honor, I have the fire report for the pay period ending July 6, 2013. The Peru Fire Department received and responded to a total of 20 fire calls for this pay period, for a total payroll ending July 6, 2013 of $6,535.74. I'd like to make a motion to have this accepted and put on the record.
Second, Your Honor.
I have a motion by Alderman Sapienza, second by Alderman Ferrari, to receive the Peru Fire Department report for period ending July 6, 2013, and place on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Your Honor, we have the Peru Police Department monthly report for June 2013. Again, I'd like to speculate, I'd like everybody to look in the back. It just says all the good things that happen in the police department, and I'd like everybody to read it. I'll make a motion to accept this report and place it on file.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Alderman Ferrari, second by Alderman Sapienza, to receive the Peru Police Department monthly report for June 2013 and place on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Your Honor, I have the Peru Volunteer Ambulance Service response. They responded to a total of 246 patient calls during the month of June. The Peru Volunteer Ambulance Service responded also to 10 mutual aid requests for this period. I'd like to have it placed on file. Make motion to place it on file.
Second, Your Honor.
Been a motion by Alderman Sapienza, second by Alderman Ferrari, to receive the Peru Volunteer Ambulance Service report for June 2013 and place on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Either chiefs, anything you need to bring up? Anything else, Alderman Sapienza?
Well, that's it for today. Thank you.
Public Property Committee, Alderman Perez, Alderman Mueller.
Yes, Your Honor, we will hold our next public property meeting on Monday, July 29th at 6:30. Other than that, Alderman Mueller has the reports for this evening.
Yes, Your Honor, I have the Peru Recreation Fund cash account summary for the period ending June 30th, 2013. Total funds available are $25,303.91. I'd like to make a motion that we accept this report and place it on file.
I'll second that, Your Honor.
Have a motion by Alderman Mueller, second by Alderman Perez, to receive the Peru Recreation Fund cash account summary for June 2013, place on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Your Honor, I also have the Peru Public Library cash account summary for the period ending June 30th, 2013. Total in all three accounts available is $112,063.32. I'd like to make a motion that we accept this report and place it on file.
I'll second that, Your Honor.
Been a motion by Alderman Mueller, second by Alderman Perez, to receive the Peru Public Library cash account summary for June 2013 and place on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Anything further from public property?
No, Your Honor. I have nothing further. Thank you.
Okay, reports of city attorney, ordinances, resolutions.
Yes, Your Honor. The first ordinance authorizes the establishment of operating reserves for the electric light enterprise fund. Be it ordained, city treasurer form behalf of the city is hereby authorized to establish following operating reserves for the fund. A will be a short-term operating reserve consisting of an 8.33% ratio of the annual operating expenses contained within the statement of revenues, expenses, and charges. In fund net assets financial report, which is determined each year by the external auditors, and the B will be a long-term operating reserve consisting of a 16.66% ratio of the annual operating expenses contained in the statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in fund net assets financial report, which is determined by the external operators and auditors, and then those will be adjusted each year as the city receives the annual audit.
Do we have a motion to approve the ordinance as written and read?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
Have a motion by Alderman Colcha, second by Alderman Waldorf, to approve the ordinance as written and read. Is there any discussion?
I just want to talk about, everyone knows that there was some rate increases for customers on electric, and the reason that we had those was to do exactly what we're doing here tonight. So we're just trying to close the loop and do what we said we're going to do, which is establish some reserves. So this particular reserve is for operating, and the next one is more of a self-insurance for all of our distribution. If we have any type of a large storm event, none of our power lines, those things are not insured. So we have to come up with a significant amount of funds to repair that. Obviously, that can be very costly. So we think it's important to have a reserve, and that's exactly why some of the rate structures were passed, and that's why we're doing what we're doing tonight. So.
And Alderman, if I could just add a little bit to this. Both of these ordinances we have really been working to fulfill for probably 2.5 years. And the third one that you're looking at, the recapitalization of the water and sewer fund, we've been discussing that for, this will be the second year. But we finally have gotten to the point where we have the cash on hand to establish these reserves. And it's just a very wise thing to do, not only in the short term, but in the long term for the city of Peru. Once they're there, we'll be able to react in case there are events that go up beyond our control, and we'll be able to manage them.
Well, with the department that makes up 20% of our budget, you have to have an operating reserve. And like you said, we finally put ourselves in the point we can do that with a $60 million enterprise, something you need to make sure you're right on. So I need a motion. I don't have a motion yet. Motion by LaCocha, second by Alderman Waldorf to approve the ordinance as written and read. Is there any further discussion? All in favor signify by, no, roll call vote, clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
Radke. Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Motion approved.
I'll read the next one because you'll see a little footnote in the audit hereafter when you have the self-insurance fund, whereas the Finance Committee of the City of Peru has determined as prudent and advisable in the best interest of the city to establish a self-insurance reserve for the Electric Light Enterprise Fund to offset the risk of paying for the loss of uninsured infrastructure assets of the fund in case of a natural disaster or other unforeseen event. Whereas the external auditors of the city shall footnote the reserves on the city audit pursuant to GASB, which is Governmental Accounting Standard Board Statements numbers 10 and 66. Now therefore be it ordained, the city council finds its facts recitals hereinbefore set forth. Section 2, the city treasurer, on behalf of the city, is hereby authorized to establish self-insurance reserve in the fund at an amount not to exceed $5 million. The reserve shall consist of investments permitted by state statute and shall be clearly designated as assets on the reserve within the fund. Ordinance shall be effective immediately from and after its passage and approval. Obviously, there's no way to predict if you're going to have a catastrophic event such as a tornado or some other act of God that could result in a catastrophic loss to the city. And likewise, there's no historical way to predict that. So the auditors, all they'll do is footnote that within the audit. But they can't tell you if that reserve is too much or too little. It's not as important in governmental auditing as to that amount and the significance of that amount as it is in for private companies and those involved in the SEC, because is it something that then you can write off for tax purposes? Does it unfairly reflect accurately the financial condition of the company that all has influence on investors and book value and everything else of a company for those that invest in a stock or something, governmental accounting, to run any investors. So, but it'll be noted, but there's no way they can tell you if $5 million is too little or too much. That's why it'll just be in a footnote.
Okay, we have a motion to approve this ordinance as
So
written and
moved,
read.
Your Honor.
Second.
A motion by Alderman Putoff, second by Alderman Radke to approve the ordinance as written and read. Is there any discussion?
We should also note that when we tried to develop this fund, Superintendent Putoff had looked at purchasing insurance. And as I recall, the yearly premium was going to be something around $1 million with something like a $500,000 deductible. So you can see that you'd be way better off to sell it to generate your own fund than in 5 years throw away the $5 million we've set on the table here. So that's why we've gone this route.
And you're seeing every day, you're seeing disasters across the country, everywhere from New Orleans to the East Coast. And, it does happen, and the government isn't there giving handouts either anymore. So you really have to rely on your own as much as you possibly can.
That's correct. You may get some money from FEMA, but that money may be delayed for a year, 2 years at best by the time you receive it. So you're needing money on the front end.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Have a roll call vote, quick call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Prokosius.
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Next, we have an ordinance for giving interfund debt owed by the Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund to the Electric Light Fund. This is for the recapitalization of that fund, as the city treasurer explained. Be it ordained, interfund debt owed by the Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund, the amount of $572,233.35, the Electric Light Enterprise Fund, shall be and is hereby forgiven. Ordinance shall be effective immediately from and after its passage and approval.
Do you have a motion to approve this ordinance as written and read?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
I have a motion by Alderman Putoff, second by Alderman Radke to approve the ordinance as written and read. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor, that basically amounts to what the city has done is had used electrical proceeds from the electric fund to fund some of the projects that we've had from the water and sewer fund. What our hope is that within the next couple of years, the water and sewer fund will be able to recapture that and will be self-sufficient on its own. The option as far as forgiving it, the option is to increase the rates for the water and sewer rates, and certainly that wasn't what we wanted to do at the time. So that's where the city has been utilizing the money to make up the difference within it. And of course, the electricity that the city uses for the benefit of the water and sewer comes from electricity that has to be at least documented through our city of Peru. So that's where we came up with, and we've supported that avenue.
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of debt load that will go off of the water and sewer fund in the next few years that will really clean that up, and that's really when that fund will become healthy, as the electric fund is starting to become healthy now.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, we'll have a roll call vote. Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf. Lukosius.
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Motion approved. Proclamations. Do you have any proclamations?
Your Honor, we have to skip back to unfinished business.
Oh, I'm so marked up here, I've marked all over the top of that. Unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business? Okay, proclamations,
None, Your Honor.
petitions, communications.
Actually, there's two on the agenda, and they were left on the agenda in error by me. They are old communications that have already been acted on, so there are no further communications.
Public comment. Do we have any public comment at this time?
Your Honor, I'd like to commend Alderman Ferrari, and I believe his family had helped with the Cops for Cancer float. The City of Peru had an outstanding float, and kudos to whoever helped out with that. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, there's a hand up. Lois.
I just have a question on the hiring of the gentleman for the Public Works Department. And on our agenda, it says we are hiring somebody as a Public Works city engineer. Do we have anything in the way of a job description that is currently,
Yes, we do. I don't have it in front of me, but yes, we do.
Have we just written one up for that particular position?
We've had a city engineer ordinance since June of
But
2009.
this is combining two positions.
This is combining both together.
So are we going to drop an ordinance that will cover that position?
If we need to. I don't know that we need to.
And you did not give us any of his experience. Is he a civil engineer? Is he a degreed civil
He's a civil engineer from the University of Illinois. He has his professional engineer stamp.
Okay.
He has experience since 2003 in the industry.
And can you tell us where he was working prior?
He's working currently in Yorkville. I don't know the name of the company, but he's in Yorkville.
Is he working as a civil engineer, or is he
that's
working as a public works superintendent, civil
a
engineer?
civil engineer.
So he's kind of taking a downgrade to come and work under public works?
He accepted the job. I don't
It was
know.
a downgrade for anyone. to
Yeah,
work for.
I mean, when
take
you're a
offense
civil
to that.
engineer, no, when you're a civil engineer, you're a civil engineer,
He's working for
right,
a
Mike?
small civil engineering company, and this would be actually a nice step up for him to take over and run a public works department for a city and also be a city engineer.
Will
Very
he,
excited to have the job.
now,
He's
don't
already
feel
accepted the
excited
job.
about this, I'm asking a question because the information isn't out there. Okay, will he have someone beneath him in kind of a position of authority, or will he be the top level
He will be the public works superintendent
city engineer?
and city engineer, correct?
Okay. Will we have something written up to know what his capabilities will be as far as city engineer, since he is a degreed?
There is a job description that everybody that put in a resume, that's their job description that was put out to them.
Okay.
So the information's
Well, none
there.
of this is made public.
It was in the paper. You could have replied, you could have asked for a resume and put in a resume, but it was out there. It was in the paper, it was advertised.
In the paper.
That's correct, in the legals, in the
I
paper.
don't get the paper, so I'm asking the question here, and I just want an
Okay.
answer.
And you can ask the Human Resource Department tomorrow for a copy of the job description.
Okay, thank you very much.
And,
We'll do that.
and I think the city's idea was that this individual or this job would entail the supervision of the Public Works Department and also involve the engineering aspects
Well,
that
I'm
we've
just
been.
asking because I don't think any other city around it has a city engineer that is also.
Probably not.
It's something quite foreign to most of us.
Yeah.
probably to most of you before this happened.
Yeah, and, you know, the city engineer, the position will be able to, it'll involve him, you know, motor fuel tax, to be able to work with
That's
that.
quite a job when you think putting the two together. That's scary.
We're shooting for the city engineer to devote half of their time, 50% of their time for engineering. Will it work? We don't know yet.
Well, that's why I asked if you wouldn't have somebody that's been with the department for a long time that would be kind of that middleman.
Well, as Alderman Waldorf said a little while ago, that we had two wonderful candidates. We agonized over which one to choose. We chose the one that had the PE because that is what we advertised for. It wasn't an easy choice, but that is what we advertised for. We would have loved to have hired both of them.
Professional
engineer.
He's a civil engineer.
Okay.
We would like to have both of them on the staff, but we're not going to jump into that at this time.
Oh, I understand. One was planted. Okay, thank you very much.
You would need a PE to stamp plans.
Okay, but most of the time you say right on. I had a son with a degree in mechanical engineering.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do civil work.
No.
That's correct. That's correct. And you could be a professional engineer, and I have a brother that's a professional engineer, but he's an aeronautical engineer, and I have two who are civil engineers. But that's right. I mean, you're in your category.
I mean, I think of PE, I think public education, physical education, or something, and that's the common phrase.
And are also,
PE in different areas. You could be a PE and a structural engineer, too.
with that civil engineering stamp is, obviously, we're looking at the notion of the city saving money from outside engineering. You know, you have somebody on staff, and certainly that's one aspect that we want it to entail.
Anybody else, public comment?
The pavement preservation program, originally there was $135,000, I believe. This came in at 141. What was the actual engineer's estimate on this project?
137 and some change.
So it came in
4,000.
4% over, 3 to 4%, correct?
So what's your question?
I was just curious, how close were the other two bids that were? And usually, you know, in a situation like this being the first time, I'm just curious why it was accepted when it was actually over. Because if there was $135,000, which comes, I believe, from the Road and Bridge Fund from the
Here, Mike.
township.
Mike, you can have
So
that.
now they're gonna have about, you're gonna have about $4,000 that are gonna be coming from another fund, correct?
We have in our budget 150.
Yeah, we had put $150,000 in the budget this year for the program. So you're going to be underneath what was budgeted for it.
Okay.
So, you know, it shouldn't be anything that's going to be an issue.
Okay.
And there's really no local people that do that, is there? No. That was.
Yeah, actually, as far as budget, we're $12,300 under budget, not estimate, but under budget, so. Okay, any other public comment? Well, no, we need to have everything recorded, so we need to come to the podium and talk on the microphone.
Your Honor, my name is Lorraine Duncan, and this past week my son had an accident with a chainsaw. I want to make it stressed that he has used a chainsaw ever since he was 7 years old. I just want to thank Jim Settler, and I want to thank Austin Doodle Smith, and I want to thank Gary Black for being so prompt and kind to Moose when he was at the emergency room. That's all I want to say.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Your Honor.
Any other public comment at this time? Any other public comment? Okay, we don't have a need for closed session, so I'm asking for adjournment. Do we have a motion for adjournment?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
Have a motion by Alderman Ferrari, second by Alderman Lukosius for adjournment. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting adjourned.